Get access to influencing experts. Welcome to Easy Talk Live. Hosted by Eric Zuley. Woohoo! You guys ready to do this? Connect with celebrities and entrepreneurs. Entertaining at its best. Products, news, reviews, interviews, performances, events, even a little comedy. Giving back. CEOs connect with the top CEOs in the industry. And now, get ready for Easy Talk Live. Everybody pull your mobile phones out and put your hands together for the Easy Talk Live show. It's time to stop doing it the hard way and start doing it the easy way.
Easy way! Hey, the easy way. Oh, easy way. It's the easy way.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another awesome episode of Easy Talk Live. I'm your host, Eric Zuley, Dr. Eric Zuley. You can follow me on any type of social media platform. Letter E, letter Z, W-A-Y. Family is our community. And then I am Eric Zuley, E-R-I-C-Z-U-L-E-Y. As you guys know, if you are fans of the show, this is a very interactive show, and we get you access to what Hollywood doesn't give you, to what business doesn't give you, nonprofit. We give you access to the celebrity, to the guest. So you guys get to ask your questions. You get to say hello. The more interactive you are, the better the show gets. Friendly reminder, go to eZWay Family on Instagram. With now we have over 12,500 followers, and we hope that you guys make it 12,600. Thanks so much for tuning in. Karen Hall, what's up? Yay, we got an awesome show. So the show is actually featuring a gentleman named Tommy McLoughlin, or I hope I'm saying that right, McLoughlin. And he is the writer and director of Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, and so much other stuff. We're going to really get into the behind the scenes of what he's done and how he's done it. And yeah, Karen, 12,500 followers. And shout outs to everybody that's watching from Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, cable television, satellite, all of our partners, all of our distribution. We appreciate all you guys more than you know. And as always, this broadcast and all of our broadcasts is brought to you by Better Vision for Children, bvccharity.org. If you guys don't know me, I am the CEO and founder of eZWay Network, and we're a promotional company, branding company. We build you online, and you go to eZWaypromotions.com to learn a little bit more. I'm a film producer. I'm an actor. I'm an influencer, chief marketing officer, actually, of the National Social Media Awards. So if you want to meet some of the biggest influencers, you want to make sure you put in your schedule for that. And we do a really amazing event every 2 weeks within the eZWay family called the eZWay Pitch Party. So if you haven't registered for that yet, that's coming up this Thursday, www.eZWayPitchParty.com, where you pitch it, we promote it. You meet the one percenters in the industry and superstars left and right. Shout outs to All Aboard Limousine Service. We appreciate them, and the Faith Channel and iTube 247 and everybody that supports us. And we are now officially at 10,000 users and growing on the eZWay Interactive app. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, make sure you download the eZWay Interactive app on your Google Play or Apple Store. And that is how you will be able to follow up on not only today's guest, but the other 900 something guests we've had on the show. So use the hashtag eZWay Family. Let's get it going. Don't forget to like, comment, and share here on Easy Talk Live. And if you guys, feel like you want to ask our guests questions or comments, the stage is his, but ultimately the access is yours. So we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get to know Mr. Tommy McLoughlin and his behind the scenes story of Jason Lives. I'm Eric Zuley. We'll be right back.
Welcome to eZWay Podcast. Do you have a podcast? Maybe you want to create one. Let eZWayPodcast.com make it a little easier on you and your guests. For only $99 a month, you you can super boost your podcast, get more subscribers, advertisers, and manage everything all in one place with eZWay Network.
Get seen and heard the eZWay, get a larger reach, meet quality potential guests. You could be on Roku, Apple, Amazon, all mobile devices and smart TVs streaming on eZWayTV. Our network helps you get advertisers and people wanting to pay you for an interview, as well as brand credibility and more social media followers. Try it free. Register to eZWayPodcast.com.
If you want to amplify your reach, visibility, and generate more sales leads, joint venture partners, and increase your bottom line by one simple login, then eZWay Network is your solution to greatness. Sign up to eZWayNetwork.com, use invite code eZWay, or use the invite code of the person that referred you. Our all-in-one marketing solutions hub can help boost your event, podcast, and increase your relationship equity by the click of a button. What are you waiting for? eZWayNetwork.com.
eZWay Interactive. Start connecting the eZWay. Are you ready to connect like never before? Introducing the eZWay Interactive app, your ultimate social solutions network. Whether you're looking to network, collaborate, or simply share ideas, eZWay makes it easy to engage with like-minded individuals and organizations. Discover innovative solutions, join exciting discussions, and expand your horizon, all in one powerful platform. Don't miss out on the future of social networking. Download eZWay Interactive now and unlock endless possibilities.
Are you ready for an exclusive interview? Hollywood star director Tommy McLoughlin, writer and director of Jason Lives. Exclusive interview with eZWay. The creator and director of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Tommy McLoughlin will tell you everything about his career, his films, and his entire history in Hollywood. You can't miss it. Live on eZWayTV.
All right, welcome to the show, Tommy McLoughlin. Hey, man, good to see you. Good to meet you. And before we get started, a big shout out to Michael, which is our creative director for eZWay Network, which introduced you to the show. So thank you so much for being here, man. Welcome. Not hearing you for some reason. The volume. I don't know what happened. The volume. We had perfect volume, but we're going to do a mime interview.
That was mine. That was mine. That was mine. That was my past right there.
I
just
love
to mess
it.
with you. Just to mess with you a little bit here. To start
Very creative. Well, welcome to the show, Tommy. Where are you from, man? Originally,
I was born in Santa Monica, California, and basically grew up in Culver City. Right by the movie studios where I played as a kid and started making movies from 7. So it was a fantasy life right from the gate.
Oh, cool. How old were you when you started making movies? Did you start in school?
No. Well, I ended up teaching years later with absolutely no degree, but just experience. My dad was a USC film student. And so he graduated in, I guess it was 49. Nobody would hire some guy out of film school in the industry. So basically, he moved to a little house in Culver City right next to the old backlots of MGM. And I grew up basically with his dreams of wanting to make movies. So by the time I was about 7, he got me a little 8mm movie camera, and me and my friends would crawl under the fence at MGM and make our little movies. They weren't very good, but they looked amazing because we had sets, huge sets from the old classic MGM movies. So that really was kind of what I wanted to do. My dad was also a magician, so I learned magic and kind of did magic shows, like birthdays and shit, to pay for the film I was, using. And all of that was kind of where I was going. And my dad and I had a great relationship. And then about 62, the Beatles hit and everything changed. Suddenly I was no longer interested in film or magic, and went into rock and roll. Well, my father and I went, it was not the dream that he had for me. But, my mother hung in behind me, because as mothers do. But yeah, all the 60s were basically heavy duty rock and roll. We had a band called the Sloths, and we appeared pretty much in every club on the Sunset Strip and around Southern California. And it was an amazing time. Went to Monterey Pop Festival, saw Hendrix and Otis Redding and The Who and Janis Joplin and all these people for the first time. And that was it. My mind was like, okay, this is it. This is the stuff. So we opened for The Doors, Iron Butterfly, Pink Floyd, pretty much any group that came into LA, we would open for. And again, we were kids and nobody carded us. There wasn't any, thing like that in those days. And it was an amazing time until about 1969. And that's when everything kind of went into the shitter. The whole Charles Manson thing happened. And those of us who looked like me, were killers, no longer hippie freaks. We obviously were part of some, really twisted way of thinking, because the Manson family and their pictures and stuff really got everybody to be afraid of us more than anything else. And then, of course, Altamont happened with the Stones, and that somebody got killed there. And Janis died, Jimmy died, John Jim Morrison, Keith Moon, all these people were dying, and I'm going, you know what? Maybe this isn't the gig to be doing here. But I didn't want to give up performing, and I met the famous French mime Marcel Marceau, who came into town, and I went backstage afterwards and kind of showed him, the sort of things that I could do, or that I was doing on stage. And he said, well, why don't you come to Paris? And, we have a school, and I could teach you. So I took the one and only regular job that I've ever had in my life, and worked in a drug warehouse, vitamins and drugs, medical warehouse, I should say. Sounds a little bit too provocative. And I made as much money as I could make, and took off at 19 to Paris. Didn't speak any French, and left my girlfriend, left what was left of the band, home, everything, and played the role of the starving artist in Paris for a year. But it was amazing, because I literally kind of learned what it was like to be an artist. All my friends were sculptors and painters and dancers and, of course, mimes and stuff. And it was just an amazing awakening of just being some kid from Culver City in this international setting. And
we have something kind of in common, Tommy. I started out in music as well. I did a lot of sales, retail sales. I had the opportunity to meet some people when I was doing retail sales as they were buying their computers, and a lot of them happened to be kind of in the industry. And I built a music studio, and then I ended up meeting some producers, and I ended up getting involved with Hollywood through music as well. So kind of got that in common. But what really piqued my interest, and guys, remember, we're looking for your comments, we're looking for your questions. If you guys have any questions during this interview, we're waiting for them. But you mentioned magic. When I was a younger, I was around probably 5, 6, 7 years old. I did Easy's magic show, and I was really big into magic. And my dad bought me that one. Was it Marilyn Manson? I don't know. Who's that one? He kind of looks like a rocker magician. It's like super famous. You can buy his kits and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Come on, guys, help us out.
Doug Henning?
No. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about. It's super famous in Las Vegas. Like he does big shows. But anyway,
David Copperfield.
David Copperfield. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was all big into magic. Can you show us any magic tricks? Do you have anything that you can pull up? Any rabbits out of your head? Just
Well,
your head, like
not in the car. I could produce a dog for you if you like.
that would be kind of cool. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure you, so. And you were telling me, by the way, too. I want everybody to know. Let's all put, say a prayer for your dog. You said your dog had a little problem with the vet, so we want to make sure that we send some healing energy to his way.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, he's in the back seat there. As I said, I could make him appear, but you'll see how the trick is done, and that's never good for a magician. But no,
So-
he unfortunately contracted diabetes about 6 months ago, so that completely changed my life with taking care of him with the insulin shots and checking the blood and all that stuff. It's a sad thing because your life becomes about making sure his life goes on. But you do that when you're a dog owner, as you know.
Yeah, of course. So going into your career, did you always want to be a director or writer? Did you know you always wanted to do that, or did something happen in your life that drew you down that path?
Well, there's a book called A Strange Idea of Entertainment that came out about 4 years ago, of which the author Joe Madre pretty much tells the whole story from birth to when I was back in rock and roll again. And if you get the book, I make no money off the book, but if you're interested, it's out there on Amazon and most places. Is that every 10 years I seem to kind of change up what my career was. And
What's the name of the book so we can promote that while you're talking? Keep going.
A Strange Idea of Entertainment.
Okay, keep going, please. A Strange Idea of Entertainment.
Which is a line from Jason Lives, actually.
Okay, please keep going with your story. I just want to make sure we promote you properly as you're going.
So, yeah, I mean, when I was, from basically, I guess, birth all the way till 10, 11, it was all about wanting to be a filmmaker, making films and then doing the magic as a way to pay for that. And then when the Beatles hit and the rock and roll became my life, that took me all the way up another 10 years before I went to Paris and began this study of mime and came back, had no girlfriend, had no band, had no home. So I had no money as well because I spent it all over there and put a hat down on a street corner. And that's kind of how I ate from day to day and, pulling some over for rent and, kind of survived as a street performer for many years. But that led to a lot of different things in terms of performing mime. Very not like the Marcel Whiteface, who were much more about the physical comics of like the silent era, the Buster Keatons and Charlie Chaplin's and so on, sketches that were a little more character based, and that led to a show where Dick Van Dyke came and saw us. And he said, I love this. I want you guys to be my troupe. I have a new series on NBC coming up. So we want to put you guys in it, and I'll be the 6th member of the LA Mime Company. And exactly what happened. We went on that show in the mid-70s, and it was incredible. I wrote and directed those sketches, which I got an Emmy nomination for, which was huge. Joined the Writers Guild, and that kind of got me back into what I was doing as a kid, writing.
Okay, and you were in your teens when that?
No, at that point I was in my 20s, like mid-20s.
Okay, so you're a young adult. Okay, cool. And what was your first project? Do you remember?
Yeah, I got my heart broken by the girl that I left with somebody else by the time I got back a year later. So I wrote a script called Heartbroken, a comedy. And it was all about a guy that keeps getting involved in relationships, and they always go wrong. There's always something wrong that the girl doesn't like about them. They thought he was going to be one way, and he ends up being someplace else. And it was a series of those kind of episodes, which eventually leads to him realizing, every time I'm with a girl, I'm acting like the girl before me wanted me to act, and that wasn't me. And you keep doing this as you go down the line until finally, you realize you're not going to get anybody until you figure out who you are, and that's who you stick with. So that was the first thing, and then I did a series of comedies that I was writing, but nobody in the studio system or even producers in Los Angeles were interested in comedies for films, and I really wanted to make films, but they were interested in horror. So I decided to write a horror. Well, it's not even a comedy; it's a horror thriller that had literally no blood, no sex, no profanity. It was just about kind of gothic horror, and it was based on when I was in Paris. I went down into the catacombs, and walking around down there with just a candle by myself, with skulls and bones on every side of you. That gave me the first time in my life a supernatural fear, because there wasn't anything in there to be afraid of except where I was, the idea of it. So the script basically was called Mausoleum, and it was about a girl that had to spend the night inside this mausoleum, pledging for this high school club, and all hell breaks loose. So I had corpses coming out of the walls, I had coffins opening up, and corpses levitating and chasing, and so it was a very, very different, kind of horror movie that was very hard to get made, because all they wanted was slasher. Halloween had happened, Friday the 13th had happened. Everybody wanted to make a movie with a forest or in a warehouse or someplace isolated with some guy with something over his face so you don't know what he looks like, and lots of girls to kill. And I had no interest in that. But as time wore on, I suddenly was offered Jason Lives as a project. It wasn't called that. It was just Friday the 13th, Part 6. And the previous one didn't have Jason in it. It was somebody pretending to be Jason. Spoiler, if you haven't seen Part 5, I'm sorry. But the audience, the fans, were upset about that. And they were also upset at the end of the movie. It looked like one of the characters, Tommy Jarvis, was going to be the next Jason. So they had to change their tune real fast, try to get their audience back, get back to Jason. So I met at Paramount, and they said, if you could just come up with some way to bring Jason back from the dead, that's all we want. And I go, what do you mean that's all you want? What about the rest of the story? That's up to you. So I had total freedom in that movie, which doesn't happen very much, especially with a big franchise like that, to be left alone to write the piece. And I used the old Frankenstein, lightning bolt to bring back Jason, and then put comedy in it, put children in it, put car chases in it, did everything I could to make it much more of an exciting movie than just a slasher film.
I love that. And we're so eZWay Network. We're about community. We're about family, comedy. In fact, one of the things we're playing around with right now, Tommy, is bringing back the wholesome Hollywood, bringing back John Candy. And I love that you mentioned the comedy, and that you didn't really want to do a lot of the Hollywood horror and crazy stuff. So that brings me to the project, right? We got Jason Lives, Friday the 13th. Those of you guys, if you've seen it, post your comments. If you haven't, sorry for the spoilers. Shouldn't be on the show. But what differentiates Jason Lives from all the other Jasons, and why did you go that direction?
I went at it not to make a slasher movie. A slasher movie basically is, introducing the film with some sort of kill, then, find out there's this mysterious person that's killing people, whether you're, on a vacation or you're, in some remote area. And it's a question of as many characters as you introduce, you wait for each one of them to get killed off. And then by the end, there's a big confrontation with what is now known as the final girl, who somehow survived all this. And she basically either kills or disables in some way the killer, and end of story. So from my standpoint, I wanted to make it a little more character driven. I wanted the characters that were in there to be likable and have a sense of humor, so that when they were killed, you would go, oh, no, he didn't kill. I thought they were going to hang in for longer. I like them. As opposed to what was going on in the theaters at that time, where people were screaming at the screen, "Yeah, kill that bitch!" I mean, it was awful. How it incited almost a riot. If you weren't giving them blood. So I wanted to try to get away from that and try to make it a much more classic movie where there's both characters have an agenda. Tommy, the character that is shown from the beginning, needs to dig up Jason's grave, see that he's in there, and then he's going to burn the body. But in the act of doing that, a lightning bolt comes down, hits the hole that he had that he was stabbing the corpse with, and Jason comes back to life. Now, Jason didn't want to come back to life. He was happy where he was. So the rest of the movie is him going after Tommy and anybody in his way. Then they get killed. He's not just arbitrarily going looking for people to kill. They're in his way. And his whole agenda that we obviously waiting to see is if he's going to get to Tommy or not. Tommy, on the other hand, has screwed up by doing what he intended to do, and it backfired. So now he has to convince everybody that Jason is back. No one believes him. And his whole agenda is, how do I figure out how to get Jason? How do I stop him? And it's to try to get him back to where he first died, or in this case drowned, so that it has a little more of a story form to it, more humor. The characters have like a, as I said, a kind of a 1930s, 40s comedy, wise guy banter, which I've always loved. So I tried to infuse it with as many things that were part of my filmmaking and film study, what I loved. And it did kind of stand out. I didn't think the fans would love it, to be honest. I thought they were going to, want what they normally get. But as the years have gone on, and next year is 40 years that we've made this thing. And you talk about family, all the people that I made that film with 40 years ago, we are still friends. We still talk to each other literally every week, whether it's texts, emails, phone calls, whatever. We see each other at the horror conventions. It's literally a family that, we just never felt we could lose contact with one another. And usually when you make movies, you go, "Yeah, that was great. I'll see you again. Yeah, give me your cell number. Yeah, I'll call you." Never hear from them again. But in this case, we've maintained this friendship 40 years. So it's pretty incredible.
That's one of the reasons that that you brought that up, that we created the eZWay interactive app, because everybody gets to keep in touch with one another, and everybody gets to do business and whatnot, and we are constantly developing new projects and opportunities. We're really, I don't know if you've created your account yet, Tommy, but if you haven't, you're gonna love, like I said, it's like a 1%ers Facebook or LinkedIn. It's an amazing social network. And people are going to definitely follow up with you and look for you, look for you afterwards. So when you were going down the road of Jason Lives, what do you think happened in your life? Again, guys, I'm waiting for your questions. Help me out here, okay? Because I'm drawing a blank. I need your questions. I need your comments. But what do you think happened in your life that made you want to go down that direction, to where it's not as bad as the horror and the slaughter and the kill and like the stuff that you talked about? Like, was there anything that happened in your life that made you think that way? Like what shifted your mindset from normal Hollywood directors?
At that time or originally?
Whatever story you want to share with us, because obviously something happened.
All right. Well, let me cut to the hard stuff. When I was 11 years old, my mother had a mental breakdown, which wasn't uncommon with a lot of women post 40s. The whole thing of, the soldiers coming back, the wives now are responsible to taking care of the house, having kids. It's a very different time. Plus, there was a period where we were building fallout shelters because we thought the Russians were going to bomb us. Communism was going to take over. There was a lot of fears and stuff over the baby boomer era. And my mother sat with a lot of stuff until I was 11. And then suddenly it all kind of came down on her and she had to be institutionalized. I was the oldest, which meant I had to take care of the 5 kids below me, and which was giving up my childhood. I mean, pretty much at 11. So for like a year, I helped my dad in every way I could to do that. And it was very, very sad from the standpoint that that was the end of my childhood as such. But what did I gravitate towards? Edgar Allan Poe. I started reading the works of Poe. I found myself identifying with that darker side, and it was kind of an out. And then I started watching a lot of horror movies, the Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, all that were being shown on TV pretty constantly back in the 50s and early 60s. So I really kind of retreated into that world as a kind of escape. But I also began to look at the world very differently because I realized we all have these fears and these issues, whether we feel like either incredibly depressed or very, high anxiety. In those days, they used to call it manic depressive. Now we call it bipolar. And, it's a thing that is very true for a lot of people, and they don't want to admit it, and I think most artists have some form of ADD or ADHD, which is what gives you that, high, low, and we've all contended with it for many years until finally, they had a diagnosis and medication for it and things. Back in those days, they didn't. What they did to people was they would give them Thorazine, and basically they zombied them out. They wouldn't be any trouble if you were zombied out. And it was very tough, to see my mother in that state, kind of all during my 60s rock and roll days. You love her, you want to be close and stuff, but they became very different, or she became very different from the way she was. So that throws you into two things, either deep depression, drinking, drugs, whatever, or in my case, I threw it into performing, into creating things that were fantasy. When you lose your childhood, some of us adapt what they call the Peter Pan syndrome, where you refuse to grow up. So at my age, I still have that refuse to grow up. I still get excited by the idea of going to see a new movie and hope it's going to be really great, and cheer when it is and be very disappointed when it isn't, because it hurts all the movies. But you really have to find yourself someplace where you go, all right, what do I do with all that energy when it's either negative or positive? Can I, make something good, or can I avoid, shutting myself down? And we all have this in different stages. And it's now, to me, it's very important that we acknowledge that so that you don't feel like a freak. When I go to these horror conventions and I look around and here's all these people in tattoos with, scenes from my movie or Freddy or, just cosplay, and everybody's happy, but we're all unusual types and we bond as a result of that. Everybody's friendly. Everybody seems to get along incredibly well. You're buying other people's merchandise and things they created. And it's as I said, it's a family, but it's all people that we're always looked at as, being kind of strange, kind of out there. And I kind of love being part of that club.
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And as you know, we're I mean, you can see it on the screen. If you want to kind of guide us through, Tommy, your IMDb here, we were kind of showing your IMDb, and you obviously have an amazing line of credits and different, different movies, different projects that you've done. And so your top movie is Friday the 13th, but out of all these projects, out of everything that you've done, and I mean, you said you won an Emmy, or you were nominated for an Emmy?
Yes, I nominated for an Emmy for the Dick Van Dyke TV series.
That's
but
amazing.
then we were up for a Golden Globe.
So you were a writer or a producer, or what did you do in the Dick Van Dyke series?
I started as a writer. I wrote and directed One Dark Night, which was my first movie. I wrote and directed Friday the 13th. I wrote and directed Date with an Angel, which is kind of a Frank Capra-esque romantic comedy fantasy. Then back into horror again with Stephen King's Sometimes They Come Back. And then I ended up doing a miniseries with Valerie Bertinelli and a lot of incredibly wonderful actors.
Stephanie, not to interrupt you, Tommy, but just we want to make sure we're acknowledging the fans that are watching. Stephanie's asking you, are you going to be at the Crystal Lake HorrorCon 89? I guess it's their 89th. Yes, you are?
Yes, I am. I will
cool.
Be live and in person.
Stephanie's one of our head photographers too. She's a superstar, so definitely look for her. You can kind of look at her face there, and then Karen says, you were, such a support for your family, and I hear so much empathy in your life. And so you have done a lot. You've done all these different projects. You've been nominated for an Emmy. I mean, you've played a lot bigger than most people. What do you think that you've learned in your life, in your journey, that you could share with our audience? What do you think that you've learned that helped you get to that next level? Like, what stepping stones of success advice could you give our audience as far as what you've learned to advance to that next level, to get to that doorway that's so hard to reach?
It is impossible to give you a roadmap. I don't know myself exactly, except if you love something, if you have a passion for it, you keep doing it until something happens. That's all I can really say, is because, I taught for 10 years to, college students, freshmen, and all the way through college, making films. And everybody wants to know what's the magic formula to get out there and, either be famous or make great movies. There isn't one. Everybody's road's a little different. But the one thing that is common is that you got to want to do it really bad and not give up, because the word you're going to hear in show business, and probably in life more than anything else, is no. So I would say to my students, get a t-shirt, have it say no on there and walk around with it, because that's what you're going to get here more than anything else. And you might as well say it first, but don't believe it. The whole key in life is, how do you get around no? When somebody says, no, I don't want to read your script. Really? That's too bad, because I think you really like it. No, I'm sorry. Now you got to find a way to get around that. Do you talk to somebody else, have them recommend it to that person? There's no surefire way to do that. But it's really, for me, it's more about the journey of what you learn about life as you're doing whatever it is you're doing, whether it's making films or, making pottery, or, working in a regular, a job at a shop or someplace that is a boring, awful job. But can you bond with the people? Can you somehow find some reason why, this is a good thing, and it's a stepping stone towards something else? Because there's always more you can do, as we all know. It's like, if you stop, that's it. There's no more you're gonna do, But if you keep going, something comes up. But there's one thing I want to jump on that somebody had just said, one of your listeners: empathy. Learning about empathy, wherever that happened in my life, changed everything. Everything, guys, hear me. Because when you start to have empathy for people, if you're driving, somebody's blowing their horn at you, you want to immediately hit them with a profanity. But if you can for a second say, this person is probably got to go to the bathroom really bad, and I'm in his way, and he's going to blow the horn, or he's late, or he's in a bad mood, or he's got his kid next to him crying. Find some reason why this person is not a horrible person. You have to create some sort of empathy. And when I work with actors, it's the same thing. If I'm directing somebody who's a flat out serial killer, where's the empathy in that? Well, because something happened in their childhood, something happened along the way that made them suddenly be this way, make these choices, these, psychotic breaks or sociopath tendencies, where you have no sense of what's the word? Guilt, I guess, about what you did. Because I used to
about remorse.
Yeah, no remorse. These people, I've talked to many people, because when I research these characters, I talk to people on death row. I've talked to people at juvenile hall, kids who kill at 14. You try to get into their head. What is it that makes you do what you do that's so dark? And it's usually a lack of love. Love is the biggest thing of all. Of everything comes down to that. What is it that causes this person to feel they don't have love in their life? They want love in their life. They've been brokenhearted by love. They hate it, but it all comes down to that need to feel acknowledged and feel like that you belong here. And maybe it's a tough time right now, but it goes. I mean, yin yang, positive, negative. It's all part of that same thing. You can't have one without another. And anytime I'm on a great winning streak, I have to keep reminding myself, tomorrow this could all end. So enjoy it now. Or the same thing, if things are going bad, this is just for now. Things will change tomorrow. And they do. And somehow I've managed 75 freaking years here, guys, of doing this. And I look at myself and say, I'm still 20 in my head, which is a problem. But again, that's that Peter Pan syndrome. I still think I'm this kid that can do whatever.
No,
And I
let
want,
me correct you, Tommy. That's not a problem. That's not a. You want to think that you're younger. You want to think that you're smarter. You want to manifest where you want to go, what you want to do. My dad's actually on here right now, and I don't know if you caught his comment, but he always talks about the way in which you think determines your outcome. And I love the fact that you know, I used to do the same thing. I used to think I used to always like, hey, if I really thought happy thoughts and I found some pixie dust, could I fly? And I just try to keep myself in that mindset, that child's mindset and that younger mindset. And thinking is health. You know, the mindset is so powerful. And I want to acknowledge a couple of people that are tuned in right now, just all the people, because that's what we're all about here at eZWay Network. Thank you so much, Karen, for being so interactive. And Matt J. Doyle has his own show. He's actually our IMDb director. So this show will be on IMDb thanks to Matt. Michael, again, thanks to you, brother, for bringing everything in. Stephanie Finley, which is our head of photography. And then Laura Bianca Collins is a actress and a model, big supporter of ours. And just Mark Beelan actually has a television network to millions of people on cable and satellite as well. He's one of our partners, and more people are tuned in all over from that I can't see. This is just social media, but we have Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Google Play, iTube 247, Faith Channel, Women on TV, Fan TV, just on and on and on. So all of you guys that are tuned in, now we're going to get to the moment that you've been waiting for, because a lot of fans are obviously fans of you with the Jason Lives thing, right? And we did promote that we were going to get into some behind the scenes and some special stories and stuff. So Tommy, can you share with us a fun behind the scenes story making that film that sticks out on your head? You know, something that might have happened with the actors. And as you do that, as you're sharing that, we're going to also share your Instagram to get you some more followers. And guys, put in the comments if you're going to follow Tommy and support him, because that's how we roll here at the eZWay family. So if you could do that for us, Tommy, share that story.
well, there was quite a few. And as I said, because we were in a place called Covington, Georgia, which is about an hour south of Atlanta. And we were doing 6 days work at night only. So basically it was like, you know, when the sun came up, that was the end of the shoot day, you know, and as the sun was going down, we were heading out to the forest or whatever the location was. So it's a very strange bonding when you're with a bunch of people all night, night after night after night. And you could either hate each other or get along. And we managed to get along. We were all like in our, I guess, late 20s or so. And when it came to Sunday night, because obviously we had to sleep all day Sunday, and then Sunday night, get up, what are we going to do? All right, well, let's go to find some club in Atlanta, which we would, and we'd all go dancing and dance all night long, get all that energy out, go back, go to sleep, you know, wake up Monday afternoon and back to work. So it put us all in this kind of very unique mindset in terms of what we were doing. But it was so supportive at the same time, even though we were making, you know, basically a horror movie. The guy who was playing Jason, CJ Graham, was incredible. He was a military guy. So anytime I told him to do something, he'd say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it would be like stunts and things that, you know, stuntman should have been doing, but he had no fear about doing it, and he did it. And it was incredible. But the one thing that was dangerous, but at the same time, in retrospect, funny, is there's a scene where there's a Volkswagen, and Jason is standing in front of the Volkswagen on his way to find Tommy. And this Volkswagen stops, and there's a girl and a guy in there who are the head of the camp counselors, and they're blowing the horn. This guy's not moving. And the guy, the male, you know, who wasn't driving, who was sitting shotgun, takes out this little gun and says, I'll make it move. So he goes out and threatens Jason with the gun. And of course, Jason just makes a quick move with the spear that he's holding, spears the guy, throws him over his shoulder, sees the girl, and behind the windshield and runs the staff. I guess it was like from a fence post into where she was supposed to be sitting, and she was just going to go out of the way. Well, again, being an Army guy and basically programmed to go after the target, as she went like this, his spear went right with her, and bam, and he put it into the seat about this far from her head. And it was like, oh my God. And it, he apologized profusely. It was just like an automatic response. She was fine. Of course, on film, it looked incredibly dangerous because it was. But that was one of those like happy accidents. In other words, nothing bad happened, but it looked amazing, and it was a mistake. A little bit later in the same sequence, she then has to get held down underwater with that same spear, and we had her on a what do they call those things? Respirators, where you're supposed to be able to breathe, and she's under this muddy pond, and the thing didn't fit well, so she's basically drinking muddy red Georgia clay, and as soon as her arm started to wave, then we knew, okay, get her up quick. But that was, again, one of those things where we had no idea that was going to happen. And she was a really good egg about allowing that to occur. But when you're shooting low budget, for those of you who are still desiring to make movies or are making movies, be very careful about stuff like that, because that's where accidents happen. We had this attitude that nothing's going to go wrong, and it didn't. But at the same time, you've got to be careful. The last thing that was the biggest fear that I had in making the movie is there is a scene where Jason is inside of a motorhome, and as he's driving, he kills the driver in the motorhome. And then we had this shot where the motorhome's coming down the road, it hits something and it flies. It goes up into the air like as you've seen these car stunts do, except this is with a friggin' motorhome. Nobody had done that before, so we had to reinforce it with iron to make sure it wouldn't collapse on itself. We had like 8 cameras on it when it was going to hit this ramp. It was the last shot we were doing in the film. We got everybody ready. I had like a good old boy from down south that he was dressed like Evel Knievel, because he wanted to feel like he was a real stunt man. I was praying, literally praying when that motorhome came down the road and hit that ramp. I was on my knees going, please God, please God, please God. And he took off, that thing landed, slid, all the cameras caught it, and we got it. And then the very, very end image is Jason standing on top of it with his, with his sword. And that's the kind of stuff too that could have been really, really bad. And yet we prepped for it the best way we could. And thank God it all worked great. But those kinds of things, when they occur, you're just amazed that you did something that they said, I don't think you should do it. You go, well, we're going to do it and hope for the best. And it worked out. But, those are like the 3 sort of events that happened that were right on that edge of life threatening.
Well, thank you for sharing that behind the scenes stories. We always appreciate those. And so, what's up next for you, Tommy? What's the next project? And are you accepting scripts? Are you accepting any support? Because we do have some pretty amazing people in our family and in this network, and I'm sure that they're wondering.
I'm always looking for new material. You threw up my IMDb there, and if you guys start to go down it, I'm sure a lot of these titles you're going to go, what's that? I've never heard of that. Well, a lot of them are TV movies, cable movies, things that I was doing kind of nonstop through the 90s up to 2009, I think. And for CBS, NBC, ABC, USA, all the different cable and network shows. And every time I did a movie, the next movie I would pick would be a completely different genre. In other words, if I did like In a Child's Name, which was true crime, then the next thing I needed to do something that was real, in a like kind of help people out. And I did a movie called Something to Live For, the Allison Gertz story. And Molly Ringwald played like the first woman to kind of came public about having AIDS. And this was when a time when AIDS was purely a gay disease. People were not afraid of it unless you were gay. Not true. You know, this girl contracted it from a bartender at Club 54 in New York. And, you know, true story about how, despite that she was dying, she still went into schools and talked to kids about safe sex or abstaining and all this amazing piece with Martin Landau was in it, Lee Grant. We had an incredible cast. And it was something that it actually, we had like over 1 million women that called the 800 number at the end saying, I didn't know this. And so as far as the government was concerned, the Washington Health Department, whatever they called it, I can't remember, they gave us an award for that. And years later, I met Christina Ricci, and she said, you know, I saw that movie in my sex education class at school. I thought, that's weird. I mean, never thought some TV movie would end up, you know, in a high school for sex education. But then every other movie was something about family relationships. I did a movie about Santa Claus, did a movie called A Fairy Tale, A True Story, which is about, you know, fairies, more true crime, more dramas, you know, so everything kind of, it gave me a chance to make like 3 movies a year as opposed to 1 movie every 3 years, because it usually takes that long to go through all the processes of getting something made. So it's given me a very eclectic career, plus it's given me a chance to learn things that I would have never, ever looked into. Cyberbullying. I did a lot of movies for Lifetime. And it's like, wait a minute, this is television for women. Why don't you have a female director? Why me? It's like, well, we like your sensibilities. We know you'll research it. And the truth is, there's really not a lot of women directors out there. And this was like maybe 20 years ago or so. Now there is, thank God, you know, and some really good ones. And at that time, though, it gave me an opportunity to go to schools, talk to teenagers, talk to women that had similar issues or whatever that the subject was about. So it was incredible, which opens me up. Long way of answering this question. Yes, I'm always looking for anything that is good, that has a point of view, has empathy for the main character, and of course that it tells a good story, because that's what it gets down to. You know, you try to find something where the character is driving the story as opposed to the plot, you know, driving the story, and continue to keep looking for those.
Yeah, and you know, I want to highlight something. I love when you guys do this. So like Karen said, how do we, you know, tell you our ideas for a film? So obviously, guys, it's through our app, the eZWay interactive app. That's why we have the app. We're gonna have Tommy on the platform. We're gonna get him followers on social media. You're gonna be part of the family now. Welcome to the eZWay family, Tommy. We have about 10,000 users on our app. And you can go right to his profile and you can submit your ideas and connect and whatnot. But I saw First Features said, Karen, hey, you know, what kind of films do you want to make? Let's talk. You know, I love when people connect and you know, Mark's here. I mean, we literally have a whole community here where we have the TV network. We have people that want to write and do films. You have obviously the expertise as the mentor. Do you do anything nonprofit wise? Anything giving back? Any charities that you want to promote? Or anything that's passionate to you, to your heart?
Yeah, if somebody asks me, you know, would you be willing to do this if the cause is good? Yes, I believe we're here to leave something behind that means something, and the best way to do that is obviously have a large network of people, because you don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know what's going to mean something to somebody years later, but you've got to keep putting it out there because, you know, we're here for each other. Despite the climate of what we're living in right now, we have to get back to what it is that takes care of each other and not individuals. And we've had the same problem since the dawn of time. You know, the alpha caveman is the one who's going to take over. It's always happened, the fights between groups and things. But anytime we get back to that, let's take care of each other. Let's form some sort of union where we can agree that this is a good cause. This is something to put our energy in. This is something that's going to make somebody else feel good and release them maybe from something that they never had a chance to release. I did a movie years ago called The Unsaid, and Andy Garcia was the star, and we went over to the Deauville Film Festival in France, and this reviewer came over who was crying hysterically at the end of the movie. We couldn't figure out what was going on. And it turned out that because there's a father-son relationship in the movie, it pushed a button on him because he had a child that had crib death. And he had been holding this pain about the loss of that child. And for some reason, and it makes no sense because there's no babies or young people in this movie at all, it was the button that pushed him, that he was so grateful that he finally could get out all this emotion. So it's a crazy thing that stuff like that happens. Or the Date with an Angel movie, I had somebody come up and say, my mother, this is her favorite movie. We have to watch it every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every Easter, every birthday. This is her movie. And, you know, she would love to have something if you have anything. So I gave him a whole bunch of pictures to give her and stuff. And when she finally passed on, I saw the guy again, and he said the whole family was around her. She was surrounded by all these pictures of the angel from the movie. And the last thing she did is she looked up and smiled, and they had to feel like she was looking at, you know, heaven. And then passed away. And I thought, if I made this movie for no other reason, for no other person, she was it. That was the story that I just couldn't believe. But I love it.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, Tommy. And a couple of questions from some fans, guys. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up. You know, the show's about to end. Remember, you can subscribe to www.eZWayTalkPodcast.com. Our next guest coming up next week is actually the choreographer for Keanu Reeves and some major movies. So make sure you subscribe to www.eZWayTalkPodcast.com. And we'll be hearing a lot more back from Tommy. Tommy, I'm sure you want to come back. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Love to have you come back. And guys, don't forget to use the hashtag eZWay Family and follow eZWay Family. Again, you know, look for Tommy on the eZWay Interactive app. You know, a lot of people are feeling you, Tommy. And don't forget, guys, go to the Instagram and eZWay app and follow Tommy. Look for his at Tommy.McLoughlin to you know, support him and get involved. So Tommy, you know, out of all your projects, this is one of the fans' questions. Out of all your projects, you know, what was your favorite project and why?
Who was my favorite kid out of all 42 kids I've had? I don't know. I wish I could tell you. Every one of them had something that was a blessing to me when doing it. There were certainly some troubled children that I would love to wish I hadn't had. But the truth is, you learn from everything what succeeded and what doesn't. Probably the biggest thing I'm focused on, not totally, but as of like this upcoming Saturday, the 19th, that's when I do something that most people either write me off or go, that's pretty amazing. I have a crypt at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. If any of you are in Los Angeles and you go to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, the Cathedral Mausoleum, this Saturday at noon till 1, I do what I call a crypt warming. And there's a place where I eventually will be. I'm in no hurry to get there, but I wanted to use this as a way to get people, fans, friends, all together and just not talk about death, talk about what we're doing right now, what we're looking forward to, our lives and stuff, and fill that space with nothing but positive thoughts and positive energy. Because I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in energy. And I do believe that people leave behind certain types of energy, good or bad. And my goal here is to actually have a third act after I'm gone. And I've had many people say, but you're not even going to know it. I go, I don't care. Right now, the act of doing it is exciting to me. And it's going to be up to other people to see whether anything happens when they come and visit years later. But that's like a huge project for me in the third act once I get down there.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't. So you got your own thing in Hollywood, like a kind of a legacy type thing. You got your own.
Yeah. It's a crypt. It's where I shot my first movie, One Dark Night. But there's a crypt in there that's mine, 804 in the Cathedral Mausoleum. And the top of the crypt or the plate says, "To die will be an awfully big adventure, Peter Pan." You know, and that's to me the way I want to look at it and have other people look at it. We're all going to go. We have no choice in that matter. I thought, why be afraid of it? Why not look at it? It could be something really wonderful if, our minds are right and about what it is. And the worst thing is the people that are left behind. That's where the heartbreak is.
Yeah.
But if you yourself come in alone, we go out alone, but to have faith that there's going to be something wonderful in that transition is important.
Yeah, yeah. And guys, to remind you, text eZWay to the number 1-888-346-9849 if you want to subscribe and get text updates on the show. We're also going to be putting an article out on eZWay News from this episode, so make sure you go subscribe to eZWay News. Check out that article. Tommy, I hope you'll share it with your fans and friends. And one more fan question, and this will be it. If you could go back in time to change something, where would you go in that timeline, and what would you tell yourself? That's a good question.
Go back in something that had to do with my life, or just in time in general?
Yeah, if you could change something to change your current present, if you could go back and fix something, I think
it's not like me going after Hitler, right? Make sure that never happened. God, if I could change something, it's funny because I really work very hard to have no regrets. I certainly will apologize and lament over things that I did that I wished I hadn't done, or things that I did that had a different outcome than what I planned. But in general, anytime somebody, to me, what I call the ex high school football player in the bar, you know what, I could have been in a major team. I was the hot guy, and you're talking about something in the past that you wish something had happened, and you blame other people and stuff. I've never been able to think that way. I have to say, every decision that I made at that time, it seemed correct. And I did it, or I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was correct. Anything I was forced into, yeah, I could certainly say, well, that wasn't my decision. I was forced into it. And there can be some regrets, but I try to erase that if I can and not dwell on that. We learn from our mistakes, and hopefully we grow. And, it shouldn't hold us back. There's too many people that go, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. My dad told me I could. You can't listen to that stuff. You got to use it to fire you up, and many times when I was rejected on a script or a project or anything, and they say, well, we're sorry, thank you for coming in. I don't think this is going to happen. You don't? Watch this. And I didn't say that out loud, but inside, that was my feeling. You got to have this stuff fire you up, that defiance in you that I know I have something special here, but it's going to take some fight.
I like you, Tommy. I'm the exact same way. It's like fuel for me. You're gonna tell me no? You don't think I can do this? Watch me. Wait, and then they're chasing you after you end up doing it. And I don't know about you, but I manifest when I go into a meeting, when I do an interview. Like, I already manifest that you and I are going to become friends. This is going to be the most awesome interview ever. We're gonna have a bunch of audience, which we do, about 1,500 or so people watching live all over television. Thank you, everybody that's watching. Yeah. And we're gonna make it happen. And speaking of that, we always take some time, Tommy, to make sure that we appreciate all of our distribution sponsors and everybody that's pretty much supporting the show. So if you guys go to eZWay.tv, this will teach you more about the network. This is live right now on eZWay.tv. And if you go into and you kind of browse around, I definitely recommend that you do that. A lot of channels, a lot of content, a lot of stuff. We have a 24/7 scheduled a TV network we're getting ready to launch. So as you can see, Tommy, we've been massively promoting you on the network. But we want to say thank you to our distribution, all of the distribution outlets that support us: WWTVN, YouTube 247, Faith Channel, Actors Reporter, CIE Fashion Magazine, Fan TV Global, Radiate Television. I'm not counting the eZWay stuff because you guys know that through the app. Women on TV, Worldwide TV, VidMe, iDream CTV, which is a real big one. That gets us to cable and satellite televisions. On the Mark TV, Trailblazers TV, the Faces of Rap Mothers Network, the Women's Channel, and so many more are getting ready to come through. So we so appreciate you guys and helping the show get out there.
That's great. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So you got to give love to to those that show you love. A couple of charities that we support, obviously Better Vision for Children, bvccharity.org, reliefalliance.org, which is one of our members. They support the homeless in Florida. OWL, amazing app that allows you to get paid to support others with advice. Definitely go to OWWLL. Use the code eZWay if you check that out. And all the fans, everybody that's there. So like Mark says, truth. My dad actually had a question. Dad, I saw your question. Hold on. Hold on. It was something about a bucket list question for you. I want to make sure. There it is. What's on your film bucket list, Tommy?
My film bucket list of ones for me to make.
Yeah. If you could work with anybody, if you could work with any partners, you could get any funding, you could make the perfect film. What's on your bucket list?
Well, as of last week, I met Dee Wallace for the first time. As we all know, Elliot's mother from E.T.
Dee
and
is
Jojo
my
and all
girl.
this.
She's part of the eZWay family. Hi, Dee.
Yeah, she's just the most incredible woman I've met. And I kept saying to her, I don't know why I could not make it work years ago to work with you. And she goes, well, it's not too late now. And I go, I'm going to find something because I would love to work with this woman. That's sort of the latest thing on the bucket list. In the meantime, I've got a piece called M, just like the letter M, which is a thriller of which I playing the lead character as well as writing and directing it, that we're going to shoot a short version of it in Texas as a kind of, what do they call that? Showing, what your plan is, the concept of intention. And so that's going on. In the meantime, I just keep, going back to things that I've been writing over the years, and I run into a block and I go back and say, okay, I got to look at this fresh again, which of course means I go all the way back to page one and go back through. So in terms of, having one thing that's just about to happen, one thing that's really just about to happen is my band. I've redone my band, which is called Slothzilla. And it's basically a hard rock band that plays songs that were featured in horror movies since the 50s to present day. So it's all great classic rock songs that also are tied in. If you've seen the movie, it's like, oh, I love that song. And whether it's Pet Sematary or Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Interview with a Vampire, there was great rock and roll in all those. So that's what the band is about. And I'm the lead singer and the show off in front of the microphone.
That was one of my movies. I love Brad Pitt in Interview with the Vampire. That was a great. Did you have your music in that movie? Is that what you said?
No. Well, I think it was wasn't the Stones, but there was Interview with the Vampire. I'm sorry, Sympathy for the Devil was the song, the Stone song that they did in that, and I can't remember. Guns N' Roses, I think, maybe were the ones that covered it.
Got it. You kind of got a Guns N' Roses like rock look for sure. And actually, shout outs to Ron Klein. He's one of the drummers or substitute drummers for Guns N' Roses. Hopefully that you guys are watching. But yeah, it's a small world, man. I know Dee Wallace. Shout outs to Dee. In fact, I met her way back in the day with the I think it's a 10-time Emmy Award winning series now. I was an actor in it called The Bay the series. And my company actually represented the director when they did all that stuff. That's how I met Dee. But yeah, let's keep talking more time. This sounds great. It was a great interview.
Thank you.
We're going to need to just kind of wrap it up now, but I do want to ask you to let us know what your experience has been like doing it the eZWay. This is your first time on the show. Did you enjoy yourself?
It was great. It was great. Would love more questions, guys. Like anything else, it's like, I want to hear what you find interesting, or tell me you hate this shirt, because certainly my girlfriend does. But this is what I put on today because I have a closet full of things that date all the way back to 1965. So I'm one of those people that don't throw anything away. But yeah, if you've got questions and things next time around, yeah, fire them, because I've had a very crazy life, and like the book says, and a strange idea of entertainment.
Well, we'll get a part 2 and a part 3 going. We'll keep it moving, and I'm sure there'll be more questions because now they watched the first episode. And if you wouldn't mind, Tommy, do me a favor and say, hey, I'm Tommy McLoughlin, director, writer for Jason Lives, and I want you to keep doing it the eZWay, or keep watching eZWay, or subscribe to eZWay. something like that. So your fans could, support us if you wouldn't mind. I'm gonna go ahead and do a count of 3 and just give us a quick drop. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, it's Tommy McLoughlin. I'm the writer-director of Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6, and a whole bunch of other stuff that maybe you'll see one day, or maybe not. And you're watching and listening to the eZWay.
Nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So this has been a blast, guys. I hope you enjoy. Remember, don't forget to subscribe. Tommy, I hope you can join us this Thursday to our VIP pitch party, which is a big, giant pitch party. It's a pitch fest to amazing people. And we put it on television. We do breakout rooms and privately, and then everybody follows up on the app afterwards. We give away up to 25,000, sometimes even up to 50,000 in prizes to people that all put into the gift bag, which is pretty cool. So that's going to be 3 to 5 this Thursday. Hopefully we see you guys there. As always, subscribe to eZWaynews.com. Make sure you follow Tommy McLoughlin on eZWay and Instagram. And Tommy will help you get your profile set up, so everybody that wants to connect with you, they'll be able to find you on the eZWay interactive app. Anything that we missed, anything at all, I'm
just going to plug again. I would love to meet anybody that happens to be in Los Angeles or coming to Los Angeles this Saturday at noon at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery at the Mausoleum. I will be there, for that from 12 to 1. And there'll be, fans, friends. And it's a great time to kind of just bond with people about all the good things that's going on in your life and what your dreams are.
I love it. Well, there it is. And so they're saying I can't wait for part 2. I love you too, Mark. Thank you for the love. And Tom Mako said I love the Tommy McLoughlin interviews, and my dad says great interview. We'll have to get you more involved with Better Vision for Children too, man. We do a lot of stuff with kids and mentorship and things like that.
That'd be great.
Thanks so much for joining us, Tommy. You've been great. You've been great.
Thank you. So have you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. So that was Tommy McLoughlin. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed all that insightful information. You guys can follow his Instagram, follow his eZWay. So there's a couple questions. What's happening with Jason Never Dies? Whatever other questions, but you guys are a little bit late. The show's over now, so you have to come to part 2. Definitely follow and we'll get you guys more answers. If you're not familiar with the events that we have coming up and what eZWay Network is really all about, we're a very, very large network that networks you with other networks. Ultimately, if you want to meet high quality people with great opportunities, you want to make sure that you look up eZWaynews.com and subscribe, get involved, download the eZWay interactive app, and ultimately subscribe to eZWay.tv. You can find us on all major televisions, cable stations, satellite stations, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Google Play, Apple Store, Google, download on your phone. Just look up eZWayTV, download the app on your phone. And you can get our eZWay interactive app, which is the interactivity side of things. So appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you tune in next week, because next week we have a very special guest, which is a choreographer. He's a fight choreographer for like awesome stuff. A lot of movies, a lot of different things. It's definitely going to be a show you don't want to miss. Again, big shout out to Mako for bringing Tommy McLoughlin to the table. If you guys have a guest you'd like to see interviewed, if you'd like to be interviewed, make sure you email us at eZWay Promotions. That's letter E, letter Z, eZWay Promotions @gmail.com. And we are worldwide, globally, to 500 million potential viewers, 500 million potential people. Now we have a eZWay amazing summit coming up. It's called the Influence to Income Summit. Something you definitely do not want to miss. And it's going to be some of the top players, multimillionaires, very, very successful people that have been very, very successful with the top businesses like Priceline and UGG Boots and Napoleon Hill Foundation and so much more. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better and better. So make sure that you guys subscribe, catch us next week, and I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of our guest for next week. Tell your friends, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode of Easy Talk Live. All right, so make sure, guys, that you subscribe to eZWayPodcast.com to be notified for the next episode. And we have so many other amazing celebrities and amazing stories. And oh man, we're going to be doing Easy Talk style live as we always do. And we have a new venue now, by the way, guys, in Los Angeles. We have a new venue in downtown Los Angeles. So if you guys want to do a podcast, if you want to do events, you want to do anything, we're building our Los Angeles division, our Los Angeles chapter in Los Angeles. We have a chapter in Florida. We're building and expanding all over the place. And if you want to be an ambassador, if you want to be a part of the eZWay family, you want to be part of the eZWay network, make sure that you reach out and say hello. Email us at eZWayPromotions@gmail.com. Text 1-888-346-9849. Text that phone number and put the message eZWay to get updates. And tell your friends. Press the share button. Like, comment, and share as always. Thank you so much, guys. We so appreciate you guys. And we'll catch you guys next week, same eZWay time, same eZWay channel. Keep doing it the easy way. Bye-bye.
You're watching eZWayTV, powered by eZWayNetwork.com.